Hello, and welcome to the Review of Death podcast, or the Rod Pod.
The Rod Pod.
We worked out the other day.
T-shirts coming soon.
Yes, welcome to our new home. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. If you're listening to us on the various different things that you stick in your ears to listen to podcasts, then hello. You can
Glad
listen
you
to
said
us.
listen to podcasts rather than...
Watch them.
Yeah.
Watch
Well,
podcasts.
you can do them.
You can do that.
Yeah. You're doing it right now.
You are, yeah. So, yes, this is our new home.
Yeah.
We are going to be doing this fortnightly, which is very exciting. That means you get more of us than you ever had before, which may be a bad thing. I don't know. You might get sick of us.
We might get sick of each other.
We might
It hasn't
do.
happened yet.
No.
But you never know.
I mean, we've had a year where we haven't really recorded anything, so this is...
And this is, I guess, is the kind of ultimate benefit of doing the podcast.
Yes.
Is that the idea sort of going forward is that you get more of us more regularly,
More for
which
your
is
buck.
always good. More bang for your buck.
Yep.
Pay us, and then it will be bang for your buck.
Yep.
And also in terms of formatting and what we're hoping to do with it, so regular kind of review of deathy type episodes where we review episodes that you guys will vote for on the Review of Death Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Twin Dilemma won the first one, so that will be the first proper episode of the Review of Death.
I think
format
that's what
for
people have asked us to do before.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's probably a long overdue one anyway.
There are like 20 long overdue videos
There's
for us to do.
ridiculous
So
one,
we'll get around to them. Don't worry. We
Yeah.
can do it now. We can do it. And that'll be kind of fortnightly, I think is the idea.
Yes.
And then once a new series of Doctor Who starts going out on television, the idea is to then turn it into a weekly podcast. So you get, just for that 8 to 13 weeks or 6 or whatever, whatever ends up happening with Doctor Who.
It could be cancelled by that point.
I've got the press statement from what we're going to talk about in the kind of second half of the podcast today. And event serial is a phrase I've never heard used before, but it was used in the press release.
I guess that is stuff like Line of Duty and
I think they're
the
trying
Bodyguard.
to...
They're trying to really...
It's more of a...
It is a bigger thing than it actually is.
It's an event.
It's an event.
Yeah. And we'll hopefully be able to give you sort of instant reactions the night of.
Yeah,
So-
rather than waiting for us to come along, right at the end of the series
like
and
2
try
months
and
later.
cram everything into like a 2-3 hour video.
Which we've done amazingly before. I don't know how we've got around to it.
No, I don't know, but people liked it. But it'd be good to actually get into the nitty-gritty of
Absolutely.
episodes properly, because I always find that when I go back and edit those videos, I'm always like, oh, we didn't talk about that. Or people say in the comments, oh, I wish you'd have spoken about that. And I'm
It's
like,
because
you're right.
we're so tired.
Yeah.
Our brains are literally leaking out of our ears.
I mean, what was it, series 10 that we did in the dark? Because the
oh
light
God, we
went
were
out in the
outside.
garden.
Yeah. And Mum was like, shall I bring a light out for you? And she
Yeah.
brought like a lamp out and shone it in our faces. I think in the thumbnail for that, I put like a wood burning fire or
Put a
something in front of
fire
us.
in there, yeah.
So yeah, that's the idea for the Review of Death going forward anyway.
Look at us now.
Look at us now. We're so excited to be doing this. It really is. It's been a long time coming. Ever
We've been
since
talking about this for a while.
Doctor Who on Twitch, basically.
That sort of kicked it off, didn't it?
Yeah.
Really? So if you recognise the walls,
He's done the colour scheme exactly as it was for Doctor Who on Twitch, people.
which I nicked from more than 30 years in the TARDIS.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And, being here in this cushy space is nice because we've got co-hosts, because there's flies in the room, which I wasn't expecting.
Billy's really enjoying the filtered tap water.
It's bloody marvellous.
He went back for seconds.
I'm going to get used to this.
Yeah.
We might have to have like a break in half an hour before we get onto the meat
The
of the
nitty-gritty.
topic, and I'll get another bottle of it. So look, we did manage to do some content last year.
We did, yeah.
We did manage to discuss, for example, the Faceless Ones that came out, and
God, was that last year?
That was last
it feels
year.
like an eon ago.
all the kind of Google Hangout things that we used to do when I was at university, they came back for a bit.
They did.
And hopefully they will stay in the past and we'll be able to do this going forward. But I thought I'd run through a couple of kind of important things that happened last year that we didn't get around to talking about.
I've forgotten all about Doctor Who.
Let's
over
do
the
it.
last
This
year.
might be exciting. So Series 13,
Yeah.
obviously coming out later this year. Production for that began last November. And that started at Rothlock Studios, Rothlock, whatever.
I think.
I'm half Welsh. I'm ashamed of myself. And the teaser trailer obviously dropped. San Diego
It did,
Comic
didn't
Con.
it? That was only a couple of weeks ago.
25th of July. Yeah, that's why I make these notes. I've got 5 pages of notes here. Matt's like, I've just got like a notes app on my phone.
I've just got it on my phone.
And
the funny thing is, I thought, he's going to come
color coded.
I thought he'll have it on his phone. He's going to be like, we'll just all be like really compact.
This is
and
our
stuff.
break. Look, we're in a
You look
studio space. I guarantee
reading
next
the
time we
news.
come back to doing this, you're going to have like
A folder.
a folder.
book. Mighty tome.
And then notable releases for like last year and beginning of this year. Collection set season 26.
Yeah. That wasn't last year, was it?
That was January of last year.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. The Faceless Ones reconstruction, that was March of last year. Collection season 14 was last year.
Oh my God.
Which is nuts.
It feels like so long ago.
Power of the Dalek special edition, that was July of last year.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Did you not get that?
No.
I did.
Did you?
I did. I mean, I would literally have to sync them up and watch them side by side to see what the difference was. Really? But it was nice to have because the artwork's nice.
I just thought, it's going to come out on the eventual season 3, 4 set.
Yeah, probably. But then that's the trap we Doctor Who fans always fall into.
Yeah.
Did you really think that the vanilla releases of Series 1, when that came out in 2005 or 6, was going to be the only time that would ever come out on DVD?
You know, we bought those for first 3 series, I think, before we just realised,
just wait for the thing to come out.
Set.
I think I got all of Series 1, I got most of Series 2, none of Series 3, and then I think I got the finale for Series 4.
Okay.
And then I cottoned on. This is a scam. Fury from the Deep reconstruction, that was September of last year. We talked about that. Out of the 2 recons, the fresh recons from last year, which would you say was sort of number 1? I'm very aware I'm knocking this microphone, so my microphone etiquette will improve. Apologies.
Yes, we're not used to having big things stuck in our faces.
Speak for yourself.
What was the better one? I preferred the Faceless Ones.
Did you?
I think so, yeah.
I think story-wise and animation, on the whole, I think I preferred Fury from the Deep.
I think I preferred Fury from the Deep as a story. I think I preferred the animation style for the Faceless Ones, just because it was closer to Macra, and it felt like there was a bit of continuity there. And I
haven't finished Macra.
Have you not? It's only 4 episodes. Come on.
I can't. Some episodes I just have a mental block with. Mark of the Rani.
Really?
Watched it once, I think, in my life.
My God.
I know, it's dreadful.
Well,
I know.
You're in a good place for this podcast.
If you vote for that on the next one, I will be really angry. The next release we had to wait until March of this year, with the exception of sort of Series 12 on Blu-ray or whatever, and some of the Steelbook re-releases.
Yeah, of course.
Collection set Season 8.
Yeah. And
then, of course, June of this year, we got Season 24.
I still haven't finished that yet. I know.
No, I'm still working my way through it.
Bad fan, I know. But,
well, we've got a spare space here, Jonathan. So when you're ready to join us, we have to do season 24 at some point.
He said to me last night, he said, "Why am I not on this podcast? You and that bloody mate, he's not even blood."
Do you know what? Wow. Well, I mean, there was a sword in the studio. We could fight to the death if you want, Johnny. Of course, massive news and massive information and massive content that dropped, which we have wanted to talk about a lot. Is there something else, Matthew?
Yeah. You've missed. There's an announcement that you've missed from the DVD releases. When we were talking about Power of the Daleks, I was about to say I've got a dirty confession to make.
What was that?
There's the Web of Fear is coming out.
It's not out yet.
No,
and I will ignore it when it. No, I'm joking.
But I was going to say I've not pre-ordered it.
I haven't pre-ordered it either. Christopher Eccleston came back to Doctor Who.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah. In Ravagers.
Yeah.
So that was exciting. And then Time Lord Victorious.
Oh yeah.
And Time Fracture. That was obviously the kind of...
You've done that.
I've done that. And I will go back to do it again. Yeah. And Matthew will come with me.
We're going to do it. I think Johnny's going to come as well. I think he saw the Chief Clown and he was like, oh, that's pretty good.
I didn't see the Chief Clown when I went.
No. Oh, sorry, spoilers. Oh, shit.
There's promo things.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, that's the only way anyone would see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
But yeah, so those Time Lord Victorious, really quickly, what did you think of it? Well, how much of it did you consume, actually?
How much of it did I consume?
Well,
my God.
It's a content pipeline, all that kind of buzzword. I guarantee those buzzwords were used in that meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I was really excited with the announcement. I thought, this is a really different thing. This seems really cool, you know, connecting different medias together. I read the comic. That was good. I listened to the first 2 Paul McGann audios, and the third one has been sitting on the shelf. Well, it's not on the shelf anymore. It's in a box somewhere. Just unlistened to, because I discovered that you have to read the novels in between, and I just didn't really feel the urge to go out and get the books. I will do it eventually.
Yeah, when they're all marked down.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. That makes sense, I think, because with the COVID pandemic, and then obviously with Time Fracture being delayed, and that was a big part of the story, allegedly. Honestly, there was nothing in there that I was like...
Brian the Oud's in it.
Brian the Oud is in it. And you actually... No. I can't spoil it.
There's such a tenuous link. That's like saying, I don't know, the Five Doctors is linked to Earthshock because the Cyber Leader's in it.
Or indeed, the Greatest Show in the Galaxy is linked to it.
Yeah, it's linked to Time Lord Victorious.
I've consumed a bit more of it than you, because I read both books.
Please don't say consumed. It just sounds so corporate and horrible.
I'm so sorry. But I don't know. I can't use any other terminology for it than that. And that's not like a damnation of it or the people behind it. It's just so much of it to consume because it's a big monolithic
And there was like other stuff, wasn't there? There was like bloody... stuff read by Jacob Dudman, and then there was an LP
and then that kept getting delayed because of Asda. Has that even come out yet? Echoes of Extinction, was that what it was called?
I think that has come out. I haven't got that. There was one with
Arthur
Tom
Darvill's
Baker.
in that, isn't he?
Yes,
and he's not playing Rory.
He's not playing Rory. That's weird. I remember when it was announced, I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
There must be someone else that you could have got to play that part.
Maybe not. I'm not saying nasty things about Arthur Darvill.
No, not at all. But it just seems weird that why would you cast a companion? I don't
know. It's Commander Maxil all over again.
It is, isn't it?
I liked it. I liked it for what it was. I think I warmed to it the more that it went on.
Right.
Because when it first came out, I was quite... I don't know what the right word to use is, but I wasn't enamored with it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was down to... how are people who don't live in the UK going to consume it because they can't go to the live event?
Yeah.
If you can't afford to buy everything, you're not going to get the full picture. And then I think there were some things like extending it to buying that glow-in-the-dark Brian the Oud t-shirt as part of the story. And I was like, is it really, though? Some nice stuff did come out of it. And I thought if that's entirely unrelated from the story, it's nicer to have it. So like those Dalek... mini figurines.
Cool. Yeah.
Those were nice. They had a lot of Time Lord Victorious merch on sale.
That really annoyed me. You know, all the merch. It was like, we'll get a Time Lord Victorious coaster, and it's like, well, this is
part
like
of the story.
Bit of filler fluff, I don't want a coaster about it.
The Blu-ray was a point of contention, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, some people got pissy about that.
Because I think that had a short story in a booklet as well.
Did it?
It was like that deep.
Oh my God.
And I commend them for doing that.
And there was also a thing on the website, wasn't there? You had to it started on the website. You had to because it was
a newsletter that came out with a short story, wasn't it?
I can't remember the name of the monster. What was the new monster?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But and they were cool. And of course, our friend Sophie Isles, she wrote
Master Thief,
and then it was Simon Gurrier, wasn't it? Wrote the other Master story.
Yeah. If that was indeed Sophie's title of her story, was it Master Thief?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, those were really good, and it was also John Culshaw doing both Masters incredibly well. So that was the first thing I listened to. So I was quite pumped after that. I was like, this is a good start. And then that bloody Paul McGann one in the Wild West, I was just like...
That was my favourite out of the two that I listened to, actually.
Really?
I mean, I didn't love it, but it was my favourite out of the two that I listened to, I think.
Did you listen to the second
yes.
Dalek one?
The one with the Daleks, there's that temple they're trying to get into.
Possibly, I can't remember.
Something like that.
I quite like the Dalek one. I thought the Dalek one was good. They're sort of working together.
Yeah. That one was good as well. I just feel like I got more of this is a crazy, big... story thing.
Really?
And like we're going to all different corners of the universe.
Okay.
I think it lost a lot of steam.
Yeah.
And I think that the momentum died for it really when the Echoes of Extinction thing kept getting delayed.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is the problem with doing things like that. And of all the years to have done it as well, like it must have been gutting to go like, okay, this is not going to be normal anyway.
No.
But I commend them for doing it, and I'm excited to see them do it again. I would love to see another one like that.
I think it was a really good idea. I think they just did too much. I think if they'd have just said, okay, we're going to do a couple of audios, a couple of books, the comic, I think that would have been fine, because that would have been far more digestible. I think then when you start saying, oh, okay, now we've got another CD with Tom Baker. Oh, okay, and now we've got this other thing
the Dalek.
Yeah, apparently that was really good.
Genetics of the Dalek. Yeah.
I've not heard it, but apparently that was good. So I might pick that up. But,
Well, yeah, that was kind of last year in a bit of a nutshell, really.
Yeah.
One thing, I mean, I don't know, were you expecting it? Should we just move on to the meat of it? Because we've got a lot to cover.
Yeah, we probably should, shouldn't we, really?
So, amazing, actually, looking at it here. 25th of July, the teaser trailer drops with the San Diego panel.
Yeah.
29th of July, the BBC put out an official press statement. Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker to leave Doctor Who in a trio of specials, culminating in an epic blockbuster special to air in autumn 2021 as part of the BBC centenary celebrations.
Oh, are you all right? I thought I heard you get a little bit choked up there.
I need another sip of this beautiful filtered water.
That's the rainwater that came flooding through the roof, through the filtration system.
This almost didn't happen today because there was a flood at Yogg's Towers. That was a closely cut thing. Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall are both leaving Doctor Who.
Jonathan did ask. He said, "Has Billy stopped crying about this?"
I was disappointed.
You were disappointed, but we knew it was coming. It was so.
Well, I mean, it always has to.
It happens eventually.
Yeah, it always happens. My initial reaction was kind of muted disappointment, and I was a bit more disappointed in the fact that it was just like a kind of, oh, there we go. Yeah. And I kind of walked in and told Stell and said, oh, there we go. Jodie's leaving. And I know it had been on the cards for a while. I'd been told before that, expect an announcement, imminently. Yeah. And it was like, well, it didn't happen. And then months actually passed by. Then that article came out that supposedly leaked that she was leaving. Yeah. And I talked to people and they were like, I'm honestly surprised that they haven't just come out and said it's happening by this point. And then, months went by. I think that was in February or so. Was it early this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then, it got announced. It's a two-pronged sort of reaction, I think. Half of me is devastated because I really love Jodie's Doctor and I love the 13th Doctor. And as a whole, as an aesthetic, if you were kind of to take this era as a whole, I've really enjoyed it.
Right.
But then the other half of me was like, I could give or take Chris Chibnall staying or leaving. I like a lot of what he's done.
Okay.
And just in terms of even just being building blocks, the foundations for the series.
Yeah.
He's even said, I think in quotes, that first year was a foundational year and they'd build on it. Mm-hmm. He says in this, which I'm surprised more people didn't pick out sort of the night that it got announced, but I sort of wasn't looking at my phone. Jodie and I made a 3-series and out pact.
Yeah.
Which really surprised me and irritated me because it's still this 3-series thing. Patrick Troughton said it once as a throwaway comment to Peter Davison
in the car park
in the car park at Television Centre, and now everybody subscribes to it.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like it's the same thing now with streaming services like Netflix versus linear viewing, like on the BBC. Just do it for as long as your character needs to do it.
Yeah,
if you need to stay for 1 year, if you want to do a Christopher Eccleston, bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Flash in the pan sort of Doctor.
Yeah.
Obviously not, because Chris has come back and it was and it still is fantastic. See what I did there? But I don't know. I just I'm a bit gutted.
It's interesting, that 3-year thing, and I imagine there's probably more to it than perhaps we are privy to.
I was going to go on to talk about
because
that,
obviously when the big changeover from Stephen Moffat to Chibnall and obviously Peter to Jodie came about, obviously it was a massive big deal, not just because of casting Jodie, but it was going to be a complete slate clean for Doctor Who. And one of the big things was that with the rebrand and everything was that, this is part of a 5-year plan. So then it's interesting that we now hear, we agreed to do 3 series and go. Now, I guess technically, if you think about it, well, they have done almost 5 years, or it will probably be about 5 years by the time Jodie does go next year, but obviously that was never initially what was in the pipeline.
Well, I mean, COVID has obviously put pay to a lot of those plans. So I've written down here, seems obvious to me the idea was for Jodie to leave at the end of Series 13.
Do you reckon?
Or at least in the New Year special for Series 13.
Okay.
And they had to reduce the number of episodes to do for Series 13. I think ideally they probably would have done another 10. So the BBC have said, well, look, we'll give you a couple more specials if you want. Or however many specials they've said they've added on as part of the centenary celebrations.
I think it's 1, isn't it? It's 9 episodes.
Yeah.
But that was interesting because obviously, when it was announced that filming was going to start off again last year with COVID stuff going on, they're like, we're doing 8 episodes. Obviously, at that point, we weren't aware that it was going to be it's 6 episodes
and then 2 specials.
And now, of course, we've got this feature-length special.
I think that's been given to them as a sort of, look, we're sorry that things didn't go to plan with what you probably wanted to do with this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably was going to be an 8-episode series.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, how many episodes can we theoretically get done at the worst point of the pandemic?
Yeah.
Like if we go back to, I mean, we've had multiple peaks, but if we go to the top of the worst peak, realistically, how much can we do? And if that was sustained over a long period of time, I feel like that's probably how they worked it out anyway.
And I guess for the BBC, from their point of view, obviously the 60th will be 2023. That's when we assume our new Doctor will have their first series. It probably looks better on paper to go, this program has been running for 60 years and it's still going strong because we've got a brand new Doctor, brand new showrunner. We're just about to kick off a whole new era of the program.
Great advertising.
Yeah, rather than just, it's this lot from the last couple of years back again.
I mean, they did that for the 50th with Stephen Moffat doing the whole, it's a brand new epic adventure. The Doctor's got a new mission to go on to find Gallifrey.
Yeah.
And how long did that last, So what was your reaction? Because, I mean, I think we're a good example of two people who have not entirely, different views on the show.
No.
Like, we're not arguing over the morals of the programme or anything like that.
No.
But you're a lot more lukewarm in it than I have been.
I mean, I sort of saw it and thought, I was surprised. And I think I was more surprised because we'd had the panel at San Diego Comic-Con the week before, and I was really disappointed with that. And I know some people were quite excited. I don't know what your...
I mean, I didn't expect anything from it.
See, this is the thing, and I do this every time. I went in thinking, we'll get something good, because there's quite a lot to talk about. And we didn't get any of it. Like, we didn't even get certain monsters didn't get mentioned. Bloody Stephen Moffat spoiled his own monster, which made me laugh so much. I was just like, this is amazing.
Well, I mean, if they'd done the panel afterwards, and they still hadn't mentioned it, it would have been like, come on.
That would have been ridiculous.
This is denial.
That would have been
point.
ridiculous. I'd like to think that somewhere Stephen Moffat was like, I didn't even announce my monsters are coming back. My award-winning monsters.
I think he is so mentally so far away from that program.
Do you think
that he probably assumes that Series 13's come out?
Yeah, he probably did. He was like, well, back in my day, we would have just we wouldn't have made any bones about it.
Yeah,
we would have made a big thing like they're coming back, and they haven't been in it for a long time. My brother was like, oh, not them. I said, they haven't been in it for years. They haven't been in it properly since...
Class.
Oh, God. Well, that doesn't count. We forget that rubbish. No.
Vote for Class as the next review for us to do for Review
of Death. No way. You would have to lock me in a room and tie me to a chair and stick matchsticks in my eyes.
We've got a room. We've got some chairs.
Yeah, so I mean, they haven't been in a proper Doctor Who story since the one with the Statue of Liberty. What was that one?
Yeah, Angels Take Manhattan.
Yeah, the Suicide Pact of Rory and Amy.
But we have had them appearing in Hellbent.
Did they?
Yeah, they're in the
crypt.
Yeah.
Oh, crikey. Everything appeared in those later series with Capaldi.
Can you think of when they've come back recently?
I don't know, they were in that game with Jodie Whittaker.
Does
that count? Is that canon?
Can you think of when they've come back recently?
No.
Whoa.
When did they come back?
Not come back. Can you think of a cameo they've made in recent times?
No.
Revolution of the Daleks.
Were they?
In the prison cell next to Jodie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I love this era, clearly, because excuse me, I've done another swear. It
was a really good, once upon a time, I'd have been like, it's this episode.
I know.
But now I'm just like...
But do you think that your reaction to it, I mean, I'm not trying to say that your opinion towards the show, if it's negative, doesn't factor into you feeling a bit muted about it. But do you think we have reached that stage now as fans where that stuff doesn't cut quite as deep?
I think so.
Yeah.
I definitely think so for me. Because I think when I look back on my life as a fan and, back when it came back in 2005, I just wanted to know everything about this new series. I needed to know every last slither of information needed to be in my brain. And then as time has gone on, I've just gone, if so long as I know that there were Ogrons in Frontier in Space, that's all that matters to me.
I think that we have reached the point now as fans where it would take a lot for us to have that same kind of, even a positive bit of news. It would take a lot for us to have that kind of childlike reaction. Can you think of something now that is realistic, not Tom Baker has de-aged and is coming back?
I was just about to say that. Or like William Hartnell's been brought back from the
dead. He's had a Walt Disney and he's been cryogenically frozen this whole time, and they've thawed him out. God, imagine. Oh, it's not. What? Let's not put a microphone on William Hartnell if he comes out and walks around in 21st century Earth.
It would have to be something related to classic Who. It'd have to be like something like Paul McGann coming back to do something.
Can you think of anything that's kind of happened post 2005, like somebody coming back, or that somebody from that canon of the show? Not that they're separate.
Oh yeah, I mean there was a few things. I mean, like Sarah Jane Smith, that was incredibly exciting. I mean, so much of those first years were monumentally exciting because it was Doctor Who was back, so anything coming back, Cybermen, Daleks, Sarah Jane, Sontarans,
But would like Matt Smith is back for the 60th anniversary.
Oh, that wouldn't bother me at all.
You wouldn't have even a semi about that. No, okay.
I mean, I'd go,
I'm not equating any kind of sexual reaction to this at all. Would like Joe Martin coming back be like more of like that's interesting over Matt Smith?
I don't know, really.
That's no reflection on either of them.
No, I don't know. I was sort of thinking this. I think if it was something like Christopher Eccleston has decided to do the 60th, that would be like, my God, that is incredible. We never thought he would come back to do the part visually.
Yeah.
I think if it was something like Peter Capaldi was going to come back, that would also be quite exciting because obviously I loved Peter and I thought that he desperately deserved another year just to round everything off because he'd found his feet. And he's been so vocal about not wanting to come back. But I mean, if it was something like David Tennant's coming back, it's like, well, crikey, David Tennant's Doctor is in like everything with the 13th Doctor. It's like those two are just like...
Do we want to talk about that? Because that's something that's frustrated me over the last sort of 12 months.
Definitely. And I think this is a real issue with this era. And I don't know if this is a Chibnall thing or if this is a BBC Studios thing. But one of the big bugbears I have, and God bless Jodie, she's lovely, but she always introduces herself as, I'm the 13th Doctor, and that irritates me. I'm like, no, you're not the 13th Doctor.
I didn't think that was where that intro was going to go.
You're the Doctor. That really bugs me. And it's happened so many times. I'm like, no, don't.
The thing that annoys me more about that is the way they type out 13th on the press release. They don't use the numbers. They use 13th, the word.
Oh, really?
How grim does that look on bloody promo stuff?
It's just like, no, you're, I can't remember David Tennant ever coming along and being like, I'm the 10th Doctor. It's like, no, you were just the Doctor. And the same with like Capaldi. I don't think Capaldi was ever like, I'm the 12th Doctor. Maybe he might have said, in relation to other Doctors, but not to introduce himself.
What frustrates you more, though? Is it a hesitancy? Because for me, where I thought you were going to go with that was that they just don't seem to have the balls to just stick her on merchandise. Now, whether or not that's because they've looked at the figures and they've gone, actually, stuff with David sells more, which it probably is the case.
Yeah.
And that's, again, no reflection on Jodie whatsoever. But that's really sad. Like, have the confidence, back your horse. Yeah. And I'm really disappointed as well. I'm gonna read something here. My notes are gonna come in useful. This is from the BBC. Mm-hmm. This is BBC News covering the news that Jodie's leaving. Yeah. The 13th Doctor's first episode in October 2018 was watched by 11.5 million viewers. Let's never forget that. That is, an astounding feat for the production. In the sci-fi drama's biggest audience for almost a decade. It was also the biggest show of that week ahead of Strictly Come Dancing and the Great British Bake Off. But the show's ratings have dropped in recent years. I'm not bashing the BBC for including that.
Yeah.
I've got quotes from The Guardian and The Telegraph that have both mentioned that.
Right.
While many have praised Whittaker's casting, Some fans and critics have criticised the show's recent narrative direction. The Telegraph described recent episodes as flat, worthy, and woke, despite Whittaker's talent as an actress, while The Sun reported viewers were left furious by the show's unbearable political correctness. Zero rebuttal from the BBC on that. Nobody stepping forward with a quote.
Yeah.
Can you remember when the dark water thing happened and people got up in arms about that?
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to get wildly political on this podcast because it'd be like talking to a mirror pretty much in terms of our political kind of beliefs and stuff. Shame on you.
Yeah.
All I can say. I mean, I'm just really disappointed by that reaction. I can get an independent, journalist or somebody from the Guardian writing. I mean, actually, they were quite funny with it. The change to a female doctor caused the ratings surge when Whittaker first appeared, but also upset a vocal minority of fans. Let's always remember, it's a vocal minority of fans who objected to the time-traveling, face-changing alien having a different gender. Yeah, that's how you do it. That's, and that isn't just a case of I prefer the politics in that statement to the politics in the other one. But yeah, I mean, the Telegraph, politically correct. This was mad to me. Some complaints about politically correct storylines about Rosa Parks, the partition of India, and the witch trials.
Who complained about the witch
trials? Who's
trials?
Complaining about that?
That was one of the better ones of that series.
It was great. it was a great story.
And I mean, I loved Rosa as well. Rosa was excellent.
Politically correct stories like Rosa. I know people have got problems with that. And I think some people... I mean, I can't. I don't know how much I can comment on it.
I know. I saw something the other day, and without going into it too much, it was like, as someone who isn't really massively into this particular era, I was like, oh, for God's sake, give them a break. Do you know what I mean? It was like, you are literally picking faults. It was trying to do something good, and I think it did it incredibly successfully. And then someone comes along and goes, oh, but they didn't do it like this, and that means it's bad. Shut up.
I will say,
Doctor Who, for Christ's sake.
I will say, I know that people like to paint it as like there's a black and white divide between people who believe that Doctor Who is Tom Baker and people that are Jodie bots and all that kind of stuff, and their opinion doesn't matter. But there are shades of grey in all of it. Yeah. And I think there are the fans that would agree with us politically, that would agree that, the show has always been politically aware and socially aware and comments and should comment on that stuff. But shut up.
Just give it,
I need to look more into that because, I mean, sure, if there is something there's somebody that might come up in conversation later that I've discovered recently people have a problem with. Yeah.
It feels like, at the end of the day, it's never going to get... Nothing is ever going to get everything exactly right to please everybody. But I think we need to commend the programme for doing something... Yeah. It tackled a very serious issue head on and wasn't afraid to do so. I think that should be commended, not then go, oh no, you didn't do this.
I think the thing people need to be complaining about is that the first person of colour to write for the programme had an Chris Chibnall on the writing credit.
Yeah, that's more of an issue.
I think that's more of a problem, personally. But, we could go on forever about that. The partition of India, politically correct woke storyline.
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
What are you talking about? That was like the most sensitively handled episode of Doctor Who I think I've ever seen in terms of tackling something like that. Really?
Yeah, and I've got that story's got its issues, but overall,
but you're talking like structurally,
yeah.
Whatever,
but as tackling the subject matter again, I thought it did it incredibly well. It was something that I didn't have a clue about. I learnt something watching that episode.
People learn stuff. I know some people whose parents didn't know about Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycotts. And I didn't have a clue.
And I think that's it. I think it's easy for us as like uber nerd fans to be like, well, that's how it always used to be in the 60s. You'd watch an episode of Doctor Who and you'd learn a bit of something. And obviously the programme has evolved and changed. And I commend Chibnall for going back to that. Because one of the things we always said doing these videos is, wouldn't it be nice for them to do a pure historical? And, these stories aren't pure historicals, but they're historical enough that we've learnt something that we otherwise were not aware of.
I agree. And I think that when people were talking about pure historicals in the lead up.
Yeah.
Before we even knew that was going to form a quite important part of every series.
Yeah.
That's gone out so far. The trouble was always, well, how do you do Rosa Parks?
Yeah.
But it has to be Doctor Who. You still have to have the aliens in it for the kids. You still have to have the runaround chases and all that kind of stuff. And I think that Vinay Patel writing Demons of the Punjab absolutely nails it because, there are aliens in it, but they're not baddies.
No.
You're actually seeing the real evil and the actual horror of it all, but it's not from space.
Yeah.
Actually, the things that have come from space are benevolent.
Yeah.
You know, and they're there to... They're like priests or
that's right.
Something like that.
And I think that was like the theme, wasn't it, for series 11, was that humans are the real monsters sort of thing, which is commendable. I don't think it was necessarily, I felt like they sort of backed that horse a little too much. I think they needed a few more stories where we had traditional Doctor Who fighting monsters stories, which I don't think we really got that season. But I also think that with stuff like the partition of India, is it just a section of the audience are like, oh, well, that's not my history?
Yeah.
And that's the issue. But there's only so many times we can go to bloody World War II.
That's the thing. And it's always framed as, I don't want to be taught things.
Yes.
I don't want to be preached at.
Yeah.
And I don't know, did you just not learn enough?
Yeah.
Like, this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Don't throw it away. Like I said, I know a bunch of people who have said their parents or people in their family didn't know about the bus boycotts and Rosa Parks, and they actually learned something from it. And I don't think that's Doctor Who white knighting.
No, not at all.
I don't think that's Doctor Who virtue signalling or being woke. I think that's them telling the story they want to tell.
Yeah.
It just so happens that it's within a framework of Doctor Who, and that's fine. Like, Doctor Who is many things to many different people.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it one week, tune in the next week.
Yeah, you might get something else,
If you notice, I've watched this for 6 weeks and I don't like anything about it, turn it off. Go and watch The Ark in Space.
Yeah.
Go and watch something that's more your flavour of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That must suck for you. That your favourite programme is on air again. They're churning out episodes. It's a multi-million-pound production. There's a lot of love and care in it. And you don't like it, and it's your favourite thing. That really sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, I can.
But that's a you problem.
Exactly.
That's a you problem.
And I can sort of understand that, because I kind of felt a little bit like that during Series 11, not like massively, but I did sort of feel like. But again, it comes down to this age-old thing. What we were saying earlier on. I am at an age now where I can just go, well, I didn't enjoy that. I don't necessarily have to get on my soapbox and rant about it like I did when I was a teenager, because I've got an older head on my shoulders.
Oh my God.
I've got life experience, and I know that, where does that get you? Nowhere. Just, like you said, I'll just go and put Pyramids of Mars on, or I'll go and watch something else.
Just a hot dog and grandstand about ourselves for a bit. I think that this actually, and the conversation we're having, is quite an indication of how far we've come along in terms of our discourse. If I see that used on Doctor Who Twitter anymore, I'm going to throw my phone at someone. We have gone from a certain level of animosity, I think we would say, that's been directed towards the show on our part before, and we've probably spoken out of turn about the programme in the past.
Yes, yeah.
That's never been something that we've kind of like tried to throw at an individual. It's your fault. Sure. If you have a showrunner, they're at the top of the mountain. They're gonna get the flack.
Of course, yeah.
And I stand by the fact that, on the whole, if I look at Stephen Moffat's tenure on the show, I enjoyed the show less and less as it went on.
Yeah.
And then Jodie Whittaker came along. Chris Chibnall's obviously had a hand in this as well, and I would absolutely say that, as the showrunner, he's obviously made decisions that have made me feel this way. But I fell in love with the show again.
Yeah.
I was at the lowest point of my affection for the programme when Hellbent came out.
Right.
Series 10 was an improvement for me, and I enjoyed it because it felt a bit more fun. But Jodie's era just had a bit more of a get up and go thing about it. And I've really liked the fact that as we've matured together and that this has matured and we're now at this point, that we can have these kind of conversations. I think Doctor Who it's always going to change and evolve. If you don't like it, you know, you don't need to make a 12-minute video shouting into your USB microphone like we did.
Yeah.
We were doing that.
We were, yeah.
And, you know...
And we cringe about it now.
I cringe about it now.
Oh, God, why
so
did we
if
do
I
that?
see like a 40-something doing it...
Yeah.
On their YouTube channel or on whatever platform they're on, look at us. Look at us doing this now. We love this show.
Oh yeah.
But it's a TV show.
That's it.
Turn it off, bro.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. It's cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sad that this tenure has been marred in terms of the community and in terms of the discourse by that sort of reluctance to just not watch it and just, you know, it's fine.
But yeah, I mean, I find that, you know, sometimes I do feel like I'm watching this program almost as a sense of duty at times because, you know, it's still my favorite show in the world, all right? It might not be the version of the show that I loved when I was a kid, but it is still part of that whole pantheon of this program. And I'm like, well, okay, this is just a stale period for me. But, you know, someone else might come along and it might all change.
Just wait 3 years.
Yeah.
It's not a long time.
And, you know, and we're so lucky, Doctor Who fans, really, because we get so much stuff. You know, I know people moan. I remember seeing people on Twitter complaining like, oh, there's no Doctor Who news. It's like, we get all this audio stuff with all of our favourite Doctor Who's doing
Christopher
stuff.
Eccleston is Doctor Who again.
I know.
You've got nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
Really, in the grand scheme of things.
They brought John Hurt back from the dead.
Jonathan Jonathan Carley, salute to you, sir.
Yeah, no, amazing. You know,
fans will. I'm not saying they.
Yeah.
We fans will never be happy.
We'll never be happy, and I think just as the most recent comparison, and it just happens to be one of my other loves. Let's take He-Man. He-Man has not been a thing, well, since 2002 is when it had its last big revival, and that was a damp squib. I loved it, but it didn't go anywhere. Now we're in 2021, and we've got our first He-Man thing. You know, all right, we had a toy line, but, you know...
There's only a couple of years difference between Doctor Who going off the air and then coming back.
There was no content. There was no content. Unless you bought the figures, you had no story. And it was like, well, you know, Doctor Who... Even when it was off the air, books were coming out, comics were being printed, audios were being made. And now we've got these wonderful season box sets of all of our old favourite stories that we can dip into and go, gosh, doesn't Delta and the Bannerman look amazing? Isn't it amazing that we can have these fantastic interviews with Matthew Sweet and Sylvester McCoy, all this new material? And it's just like, but people complain, and it just, you know, Christ, we've got Sensorite toys coming out in a couple of weeks.
So, I mean, I think we've taken that conversation about it as long as and I'm annoyed that really this era we have to have a conversation about this stuff.
Yeah. I wonder how people would have reacted if they did the Rosa Parks story and they did Demons of the Punjab, but Peter Capaldi was still the Doctor.
I think people would probably call it... People who don't like it would probably call it quite brave to do a story like that.
Yeah, I think they probably would.
I honestly think it's all framed around the fact that Jodie is a woman.
Jodie's a woman.
I think that
two of the companions were people of colour.
And those are all obvious points to make.
Yeah.
But I don't think people make that point enough.
Yeah.
That I think that one of the main issues that certain people have with it is that the Doctor is a woman and there are more black people or people of colour on the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem people have with it.
Yeah. And then they go, oh, and now you're doing a story about this. Oh, well, you're just shoving it down our throats. It's mad.
I would like to think, though, that, you know, in 20 years' time, maybe not that far away, I did see somebody tweet the other day, you know, I'm looking forward to when everybody goes, we want Chibnall back. Because there will be people saying that aren't saying that now.
Yeah.
I think that this era, it's obviously not over yet.
No.
And, you know, we're not going to do like a whole wrap-up of what did you make of Jodie Whittaker as Doctor Who, because her story's not over yet.
No,
and that's still exciting. We've still got Series 13 to come.
What is it, autumn next year that she goes? So we've got loads of time
and we've got 3
left.
specials.
Yeah.
I think that her era, I get so many callbacks kind of emotionally to Sylve's run.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to have another Renaissance show era with Jodie's. And I think it's going to be looked upon with the same sort of fondness.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah, Paradise Towers is on par with, Caves of Androzani. It's not going to be like that. But I think that people are going to have that. Yeah. I think that people, and there are, obviously deep layers to pull out of things, and there'll be, stuff from behind the scenes that we'll find out, and that might give us an even deeper appreciation for it. But I think that genuinely, I hope that people have that kind of thigh slapping kind of, go on then, stick on a Jodie episode thing about it. Is that damning them with faint praise, saying that? I don't know. No. Can you show off your shoes? Can you take one shoe off and show everybody? Should we get everybody else's opinion on this?
Well, sorry, people who are listening to this on the bus journey to work. Do people go get on the bus to work anymore? I used to, but I'm working from home a lot. What do you think of these shoes? Do you know the thing that's... I'll describe it for our viewers at home. They're kind of like Nike Blazers, but like kind of mid kind of size ones. But he's got steel toe caps on the heel. Just hearing you say it made me think, oh, this is ridiculous.
The thing that is offending me slightly more... It's right, you can put it down now. Where are your socks?
They're on. I've got little...
Ankle socks?
Ankle socks.
No.
Yeah, well, I've got...
Not with shoes like that.
No, I know you shouldn't do, but they're the thinnest socks that I've got. And
do you want to see how high my socks come up? They're like here.
Jeez.
Sometimes I pull them up to like here.
All right.
Because I'm like a kawaii girl or something. Right. So... let's talk about what you guys had to say on Twitter. You can follow us, of course, at The Review of Death on Twitter. There's an Instagram as well.
We have an Instagram,
You can follow us on Instagram at Review of Death.
It'll be pictures of my shoes
of your
and
shoes.
How they degrade.
I will post. I'll take a photo of your shoes, and we'll get updates as we go through.
I feel like I'm quite sci-fi in them, though. I feel like I've stepped out of Blade Runner or something.
I honestly wouldn't compliment yourself to that level with them. I'm joking. Right, so Conrad Harbert on Twitter. If I butcher anyone's name, I'm really sorry. Really sad to see Jodie go and Chibnall, to be honest. This era was so much more enjoyable than Moffat's and made me fall in love with TV Doctor Who again for the first time since 2013. I do think that Chibnall has had great ideas and maybe haven't been fleshed out enough. Fair enough. Mm-hmm. This era has put me off, so for me, a change is a good thing and may bring me back. I wasn't a fan of Chibnall's episodes before he took over and just about got through that first season. That's Marty Brezel. Really, I'm trying to get like a wide sort of berth of comments here. My heart stopped when it popped up on my Twitter feed. I love Jodie so much and consider her to be my doctor. No. I admire and adore Chibnall for having the balls to do things he's done. It hurts to know an era so close to my heart is going, but that's the Doctor Who way, innit?
Yeah.
That's from Sister Musen. Zuma1979, delighted at Chibnall going. Sorry for Jodie, would like to see her out of the Chibnall cocoon. A lot of people have said that.
I think that's my sort of thoughts as well. I think, maybe with a different showrunner. I think Series 12 was a big improvement for her Doctor. But I think that was just like, it was a little too late.
Do you think Series 13 is going to be like Capaldi's Series 10?
Quite possibly.
Where they just like, we've gone both ends of the spectrum and now we've hit.
Because I think as well, we've also got only 2 companions as opposed to 3. I think that was a big issue, that it was there was just not enough time for these people to do stuff. I know people turn around and say, oh, but it was fine in the 60s, but you had like 7-part stories where you could split them up. William Hartnell could go on holiday for a week, and then Ian could do something, or Barbara could take the reins.
Jonathan Carley, hello Jonathan, friend of the show, both of them already. You're just getting started. Then I realised Chris would have spent as long in the role as Russell T Davies by the time he leaves, and Jodie would have been the longest serving modern Doctor, so time has no meaning. Yeah. Chris Walker-Thompson, another friend of the show, disappointed really. Chibnall I was happy to see go. I just think they really dropped the ball with this era, and it's a huge shame as the first female Doctor could have been superb, but the direction and writing really spoiled that casting and amazing visuals from prospering. I mean, I'd kind of say the directing thing. I think it's been pretty stellar. I think the directing, to be honest,
really good,
and I think that obviously the responsibility of the visuals lies with the director ultimately. And then at CyberChris, our last comment, my initial thoughts were not too fussed about Chibbers, but utterly heartbroken about Jodie.
Oh.
She still had so much more to give and show. I think they all eventually must move on, but I was hoping she'd stay at least past the 60th. Hope Big Finish is in touch with her agent.
Yeah.
And I think she could have another kind of rebirth of her character. She could have a Colin.
She could have
moment.
a Colin Baker, couldn't she? Very much so. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very sort of fair spectrum of views.
I obviously haven't included people going.
Not like Ian Levine. Did you see what Ian Levine posted?
We don't use that name in this house.
Yeah.
So, what next, people? What's going to happen next in the world of Doctor Who?
Well, yeah.
So we have both picked 4 actors to play the Doctor. I'm going to hide the rest of these notes so you don't see what I've written down.
I can't see. My eyesight isn't as good as it once was.
You must stop wanking then.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
And so we've gone for 4 Doctors each, and we've gone for 4 showrunners each. These might not be the most imaginative suggestions because, to be honest, I only watch Doctor Who. No, I'm joking. I can't really think of too many people off the top of my head now.
No.
I think what you need to do with a new Doctor is take a look at the landscape of performers and see what kind of actor is going to elevate the show to that level. Do you want somebody who has done something really worthy recently? Do you want someone who's done a mass popularist show? I think really you want a mix of both. Yeah. But they're hard to come by. Yeah. I mean, we'll go through some of the names that you guys suggested, but you all need to be realistic. I'm sorry.
I know, this is the thing. The Guardian posted a thing, and my uncle sent it to me and was like, oh, Ollie Alexander, he's the favourite to do it. He's the bookie's favourite. And it's like, he's not going to do it. He's just launched his musical career again. He's not going to be Doctor Who. Sure. And personally, I don't see him as Doctor Who. Anyway, I know some people do. I literally could not see that. Do you know what?
I think the Timeless Children has spun all of that, what you expect the Doctor to be, on its head, because we don't know how many Doctors there are out there. No. And even Russell writing, I can't remember which, it was the Target novelization adaptation he did, and he was talking about a girl in a wheelchair with a flaming sword and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Look, Doctor Who can be literally anyone. Yeah. And look like anyone. But I know what you mean. Yeah. I haven't seen Ollie Alexander perform. Shamefully, I have not watched It's a Sin yet. I know.
I've been trying to get my brother to watch it for all year. I've been saying, you've got to watch it. You've got to watch it. Watch it.
I'm dreadfully sorry. I know. That's probably why I don't really want to watch it. Yeah. When I have a spare moment to myself.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's really heartbreaking.
Do you want to go? Should we go a Doctor pick each back and forth?
Yeah. So how many? So how many have you got?
4.
So I've got 5.
Okay.
And I also have 4 unlikely extras. Like people who I would quite like to see as Doctor Who, but I know ultimately that's probably never going to happen.
I wonder how many are on the list that people submitted.
Yeah. Now, and this was the thing. I kept seeing people suggest actors, and I was like, oh, actually, they would be really good. It was people that I hadn't thought of. Yeah. And I think actually looking at my list, there's a name on here that probably I think his time has passed. Actually, a couple, to be honest, but they were just people that I've always wanted to be. Doctor.
So here's Matt's list of 40-plus-year-old white men who he'd like to take over the role.
How dare you?
Go on.
So my top pick, because he's always been my top pick, Tom Hollander. Mm-hmm. I think we've had lots of dashing young male doctors, and Jodie is a dashing young female doctor, and Peter Capaldi was a dashing old doctor. There's a lot of dashing, and they're all tall and nice silhouettes, and I just think it would be nice to go back to that impish doctor.
We need a doctor that looks like they smell a bit.
Yeah, no offense, Mr. Hollander, but I think he'd be a I think he's got the look. Watching him, I mean, I've seen him in lots of different stuff. Watching him in Rev was what really sold him for me, because I was like,
I'd obviously seen him. Yeah. But when you mentioned him this years ago, mentioned him.
Yeah, donkeys years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was when Matt Smith was going, I was like, Tom Hollander would be great, because he can do the humour and he can do the pathos and all of that stuff. I think he'd just be really good.
He is an all-round great actor.
Yeah, because Jonathan actually said it to me the other day. He was like, oh, we should get like a little small doctor again, like Troughton or McCoy. And I said, well, I always want Tom Hollander. And he was like, oh God, yeah, he'd be really good.
I think I think if you're going to go down the route of having another male Doctor, which I personally don't think that should be the case next.
I don't think. Yeah, this is. I should preface this that I am not saying that I think the next Doctor should be a white man by any means. These are just names of people that I would like to see play Doctor Who at some point.
Yeah.
I think really the next Doctor will definitely be, if not a woman, a person of colour.
Yeah.
And I think that's about time.
Yeah.
Really?
I think you're right.
Overdue.
I'll get one out of the way because...
Although we've had Jo Martin.
Yeah, well...
But I mean, like a... I don't want to say a proper Doctor, but, like a proper leading Doctor.
What you're saying is Jodie regenerating into somebody.
Exactly,
basically.
Yeah.
I'll get one of them out of the way, which is Jo Martin. Was top of my list.
Right, okay. So Jo Martin is on my list of unlikely Doctors.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
As much as I would adore her to be the Doctor, because I was sold on her. She only had to say a few lines, and I was like, you have sold me on you as the Doctor more than Jodie did in her first year.
She sold me more on being the Doctor more than anyone, to be honest. I always have to have 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Even with somebody who looks like they're just naturally the Doctor, like Peter Capaldi.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Because
I understand how the optics of that, comparing an old white man naturally looking like the Doctor to Jo Martin, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying...
No, but obviously at that point...
Christopher Eccleston, when I look at him, I don't see Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I see the 9th Doctor.
Yeah.
And that's always something... I'll get over it, and I am getting over it more because we're seeing much more of him now.
Yeah.
So I am appreciating him in a whole new light. So yeah, I'll just get Jo Martin out of the way. She's top of my list.
Yeah, I would love her. The reason why she's on my unlikely Doctors is because I think, a new showrunner coming in, they wouldn't want such a strong plot link to something from the Chibnall era.
Well, I mean, we know
the BBC be like, oh no, that's something from that time. We want this to be fresh and new. And
I think that's what Doctor Who should be.
Yeah.
I don't think Doctor Who should linger on the past too much.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious considering what happened at the end of Series 12.
I know, I was just about to say,
Right, let's go for another one of yours,
okay.
Matt.
So my second Doctor, who I think would be superb, and I just love her, Tina Miller.
Mm-hmm.
She would be amazing. Watching her in Years and Years and then in Haunting of Bly Manor, oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
She's just, there's just something about her.
And that's what you need, you need... I've always said to Stella, and this is probably a really poor analogy, but I've always said, if you went into a bar or any kind of social setting and there's somebody in there that you just can't take your eyes off of, not because they're beautiful or because of what they're wearing, but there's just a thing around them where you are immediately drawn to them on screen, that, or in real life, that to me is the sparkle that every actor who plays the Doctor needs to have around them. And I think we've been pretty lucky in the fact that every person that's played the Doctor has had that in some capacity. I think that's a great pick.
Yeah.
My next pick is Harry Melling.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
I forget if he's
Harry
great
Melling.
or great, but he is...
Oh, Patrick
Troughton's.
Yes.
Because, I mean, he's in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
So he's, seasoned with doing something that's recognisable. Maybe he wouldn't want to touch it as a result. I'm an actor in my own right. I don't need a logo over my head wherever I go.
Yeah.
But I first saw him acting outside of that realm in The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I think it was
I've not
Scruggs
seen
or
that.
Scraggs, the Coen Brothers movie that was on Netflix. And I was looking at him and I was like, God, I know it's you from Harry Potter, but there's something in your face that there's something. And I felt that without realising you're Pat's relative, you're Pat's,
was it
great-grandson or great-great-grandson or whatever. Since then, anything he's done, I've just been like, let's check it out.
Yeah.
And I think he's a fantastic performer. I think he's got that impish quality.
Yes.
But he's young enough as well that if you want to stick him on the cover of a magazine and sell a lot of copies, you can do that with him.
Yeah.
And he's young. And I think that this is the thing with a lot of the picks that we saw coming to us on Twitter and a lot of the suggestions we've seen both in the mainstream media and within the fandom. You really have to consider who is going to want to spend 3 years of their life living in Cardiff.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting down Cardiff.
No.
But when you could spend 5 years grafting in LA with that sunshine and with all those connections out there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it might all change when, is it Shepperton or Pinewood that are building a new studio in South Wales? Let's have another one from your list.
Another one from me. So my third pick was Vicky McClure from Line of Duty.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I think she would be amazing. She's, you know, a fantastic actress.
Yeah.
She's obviously leading lady material from many, many things. Yeah, I think she'd be really good.
Cracking pick.
And she hasn't done any sort of comedy stuff that I've really seen. I don't think I've seen her do any comedy stuff. So I think that
Can
might
you
be...
bring a photo of her on your phone? Because I think I know who you're talking about, but I just want to be doubly sure, because I have, if it is who I'm thinking of, I have seen her do comedy and she's quite good.
So it might be the sort of thing where she's like, I'm sick of playing angry police women or whatever.
Right. God, I mean, imagine that face in a title sequence.
Exactly. You know, yeah.
There you go.
She'd be good. She'd be very good. She's got the look.
She does.
And the talent to do it.
My third pick is Himish Patel.
Himish Patel.
Now, I first saw him when I was a religious viewer of EastEnders.
Right.
Played Tamwa in EastEnders. I think it was Tamwa.
I don't know.
Anyway, he was involved in a couple of really great storylines on the show, and he kind of played this nerdy outsider. People will know him more recently for being in Yesterday, that awful... No, okay. It's not an awful movie, but I'm a Beatles fan, and I thought it was a massively missed opportunity as a concept. He's young.
Yeah.
He's just been in Yesterday, so I mean, he probably wants to steer more towards, I'm going to be in movies now.
Yeah.
But I think that if you treat Doctor Who like an event serial going forward, which I think is probably what's going to happen now.
It needs to go that way, isn't it?
Like, you know, everybody goes crazy when The Mandalorian comes out.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that for Call the Midwife.
No.
And I think Doctor Who is still being produced in that box.
Bubble, isn't it? Yeah.
But I think he's young. I think he's got a great look. He can do that kind of socially inept awkwardness that I think all doctors need to have a layer of, even if it's, you know, David Tennant being overly chummy and overly whatever. I think all doctors need to have that level, and he was very much played as an outsider and a loner and a nerd in EastEnders. And I think that in Yesterday he's sort of doing that, but he's also quite charming. He's also quite funny. He's quite devious in it as well. Do you know the plot of the movie?
No.
So he basically, he's a musician, struggling musician. He has a bike accident, wakes up, and the entire world have forgotten about the Beatles.
Right.
But he still remembers all their songs.
It's your nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God. So he goes out and he basically plays all their tunes and plays them off as his own.
Right.
Cost 60 million or something ridiculous to get the rights to the Beatles songs. It was a mental amount of money. It was crazy. It wasn't worth it, honestly.
Oh, really?
I would much rather just have another documentary like the... I was talking about the Beatles, we shouldn't be. He's great. Okay. I think he'd be fantastic. And I think he's at that... everybody I tried to pick, you're at the right stage of your career, regardless of what your age is, where I think this would be a good thing for you to do, and it kind of makes sense.
So this guy isn't... this is just reminding me of someone else that came to me this morning, actually, because Big Bang Theory was on the TV. And
you didn't watch it, did you?
I didn't watch it, no. But the guy who plays Raj, Kunal Nair, he is an excellent actor.
Is he?
He is brilliant. Now, obviously, you watch Big Bang Theory, you know...
No, you don't.
You know that sort of performance, and you think...
Very broad.
Why on earth would you think him as Doctor Who? But I saw him in that crime series that is on Netflix, where it's all in a investigation room, and it's just literally people talking across the table.
I have not seen that.
It's brilliant. It's really good.
Was that his kind of watershed?
That was the moment where I saw him. I was like, what? He's going to play like a horrible man? What? He was excellent.
Okay.
And I thought, you've got layers to you that people aren't privy to. And I think it would be the sort of casting where people would go, what? In from Big Bang Theory? Watch it and go, bloody hell, he's really good. And I also think that across the pond, because I think we need a name that everyone knows.
Is he British?
He's English.
Okay,
he's a British actor.
Right.
Yeah. So, I think the American audience would go, oh my God, it's Raj off of Big Bang Theory. He's Doctor Who. And then they'd watch it and be like, oh, wow, actually, he's really good.
Can you imagine what Hall 8 should be like at Comic-Con?
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean,
this is the thing. Obviously,
I do not want to mix with you people.
I was never one of you.
I was never one of you.
Paid to act like you. That is probably why he wouldn't do it. He probably has, that ran for like 10 years, Big Bang Theory. And, he's probably like, I don't want to do something another merchandisable, franchisey thing.
Same reason I think Harry Melling is a good pick, but
yeah,
probably wouldn't want to be anywhere near a big franchise ever again.
I mean, the trouble is, there's just so many good people that you see and you think, oh, they'd be good as Doctor Who.
But isn't that great?
Yeah.
You can just play fantasy.
Exactly. My next one, I don't know why he's on this list, because he will never do it. Or he'll never be asked to do it. But back, say, 10 years ago, he would have been brilliant. Julian Reintut from Green Wing.
Yes, yeah.
He had the look. He's charming. He does comedy. He does, drama.
Yeah.
I think he would have been a really good Doctor. And actually, I saw him in he was in this Delia Derbyshire documentary.
Oh, right.
And I was watching it and I was like, you know what? You're a bit older, but I would still like to see you do the part.
Fair enough.
But again, I think he's probably maybe that little bit older now that they would probably wouldn't ask him.
And you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Because you're not just casting a character.
Yes.
You're casting
It's a brand, isn't it?
You're casting a brand. Yeah. You are Doctor Who. Wherever you go, when you're on Graham Norton, people have to look at you and go, it's them off Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And my last pick is an actor who... it's a show that I never would have watched unless Stella, my other half, was interested in watching it, because it's totally not the kind of show I would have watched. But I watched it, and it's good fun. I'd recommend people go and watch Poldark if they have the chance to go and watch it.
Okay.
But my pick is Eleanor Tomlinson.
Right. I don't know them. Have a look.
Because in the show, she starts off as this kind of it's basically a My Fair Lady sort of situation when she comes into the show.
Okay.
I forget the name of her character, and I literally said it the other day to my other half. And then she kind of, she starts to read and write and learn how to be a lady and all this kind of stuff. But there's this wonderful rebellious streak in her. And I love the Doctor as a rebel.
Yeah.
Not 100% rebel Time Lord, but I love the Doctor as a rebel. I think she can do all of it, and I think that you could put her in any costume and she would look totally cool. And I don't know if actually it might not be her natural hair color, but you'll get a redhead if you get a ginger doc.
She's ginger. Yeah.
What's her? Can you find out the name of her character in? She's the main. She's Poldark's Mrs. in Poldark.
Poldark's Mrs. Okay, let's have a look.
If you just Google Poldark's Mrs.
Poldark's Mrs.
Anyway.
Demelza?
Demelza, yeah. Demelza. Yeah, Demelza. Demelza from Poldark.
Yeah.
And those are my picks.
Okay. My fifth one, my naughty fifth one, which someone suggested on Twitter, and I thought, ooh, what a good idea. Gemma Whelan.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously now she's... Oh, actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this because it's a big spoiler for something Doctor Who related. She's in Big Finish doing something.
Yeah.
So she's got a foot in Doctor Who land.
I mean, it didn't stop them with David Tennant.
No.
Yeah, they did it.
So, I think she'd be very good because I don't know if you saw the Inside Number 9 that she was in. And she was really good in that.
Yes,
I watched that. Excellent episode. I was like, you know what?
Sold.
She'd be really good.
Sold.
She'd be really good. So I'll quickly flick through my unlikely extras. So, Joe Martin, we've already had. Michaela Cole.
Yeah.
Now, I think she'd be brilliant.
I agree.
For obvious reasons, she's incredibly talented, excellent. But I think the way her career is going, in as much as she's writing all of her own stuff and winning lots of awards for it, I don't think she'd want to go off that trajectory to spend 3 or 4 years in Cardiff.
And also, you're handing your reputation over to somebody who needs to get it right for your career.
Yeah.
And you need to be selfish at that point in your career when you are just untouchable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unlikely, but again,
she'd be very good.
Would be fabulous.
But, she's the sort of person you would cast to play another Doctor, like a Joe
guest
Martin.
Doctor.
Yeah. Because
it's like, you can come in and do one episode, pop a rating, everybody gets to see you as the Doctor.
Everyone's happy.
Yeah, everyone goes home happy.
Then
except the people that really like you and you're disappointed. Oh, Joe Martin's definitely not going to be the 14th Doctor, and they go, God.
Because I would have put money on it being Joe Martin if Chibnall had stayed, but because he's going, I was just like, nah, it won't be her, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Because I think there's many ways you could have done it so that she became the next Doctor.
I am still in that kind of hazy honeymoon mindset with her, where I'm just like, why would you not want to cast her? But then you're like, well, you want to make your own impact on the show. You want to cast your own Doctor.
This is the trouble. The other one who wouldn't do it, or may not even be asked, Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah.
I've said it a million times. Now, I know this
Russian doll.
I know this breaks you can't have someone who isn't British play the Doctor, but I don't know.
Do we need to get over that now?
I don't know. I think maybe we do a little bit.
I think it's such a selling point for the show internationally that they would be daft to. And I'm not doing this as like the Doctor should never be anything other than British or Scottish or Northern Irish or whatever. I just think it sells the show abroad. I think that's the reason why you should probably keep it that way.
I know. She's just so good.
Yeah,
she's just so good. I watch her in Russian Dolls, and I'm just like, oh.
What if she put on a British accent?
I mean,
it's no different to David Tennant doing it.
It's no different to David Tennant doing it. So if she can do a good British accent, what I would like to see is if she did do a story, is do an episode in New York, Brooklyn, and she comes out with it, and her companions are like, "Whoa,
you'd have to
you're really good at that."
Play to their strengths. Yeah. It's like Tooth and Claw.
Yeah, exactly.
Get David Tennant to get the accent.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? But I think she'd be amazing. She's got the look. Yeah, brilliant. And then my last one is Dan Stevens. Don't know him. So Dan Stevens kind of got well known for a film called The Guest.
The Guest.
Yes. So this is a bit of an action thriller type thing, and I watched that. Watch it. You would not think that man is Doctor Who. Watch him in Legion, the Marvel series, where he plays a man with severe mental health issues and he's weird stuff's going on. He's all a bit zany and all a bit frazzled.
Yeah.
Bloody brilliant. I watched that and I was like, you would be a bloody good Doctor Who.
Okay.
So I think he'd be good. He was also the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, that terrible one with Emma Watson.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, I know. I can see him now.
So
I've seen that movie.
He's quite a good-looking guy if that's the sort of thing they want to go for. But at the same time, he can play the sort of I'm a bit weird and a bit bonkers type of thing. Yeah, I don't know. The reason why I've put him down as unlikely is that he does do big films, and I don't think I've ever seen him do anything telly-related other than stuff like Legion.
To kind of kick your career off, or like...
Yeah, I mean, he did that after he did The Guest, and that was like the thing that put him on the map.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe he would. He's had his foot in the sci-fi door with Marvel stuff.
He knows what to expect from...
He knows what to expect.
From the Loonies.
From the Loonies, yeah.
Great. Yeah, all good suggestions. I'm going to run through some of the listener suggestions. Should be kept in mind, Joe Martin made up about 50% of the submissions.
Really?
And I went for people who had been picked twice or more. So Dev Patel was a name that I saw come up. He's in The Green Knights, I think the movie's called.
Yeah.
That new
He'd be
movie.
good. Again, I think...
Too big. Olivia Colman.
Again... Although she's doing a Marvel thing, but then again, Marvel.
It's like
that's big money.
Yeah, it's you can't say it's just Marvel because it's Disney. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's the biggest thing in the world. Tilda Swinton.
I mean, again, yeah, she'd be brilliant, but it's almost got to a point with Tilda Swinton that is like she's too obvious. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Enigmatic looking.
Yeah.
It's that same thing. Your eyes are immediately drawn to her.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
she's got that Bowie, can't believe I said that, Bowie look to her.
Yeah, and I think the trouble is she would have been brilliant for a big Hollywood movie relaunch of Doctor Who, but I can't see it on the telly.
Probably the most realistic choice on this list, I reckon, Patterson Joseph.
Yeah.
Who, if we're led to believe this is the case, was very, very close to being cast as the 11th Doctor. And he's come out and spoken about it, and he said he at least auditioned for it or knew his name was being circulated or something. Somebody who was on my list initially, and then I changed to Eleanor Tomlinson just because I've seen Eleanor Tomlinson in a bit more.
Yeah.
Gemma Chan would be fantastic, I think.
Gemma Chan, is she the one who's all...
Humans...
In the Marvel films.
Is she in the Marvel films now?
She is, yeah.
Oh, God.
So she couldn't do it.
James
God, she's
McAvoy,
stunning as well.
Yeah, she'd be superb. I think she'd be excellent. James McAvoy.
Yes, James McAvoy was one of my favourite ones as well.
As but an unlikely choice.
Yeah, I really like him. When I saw him in X-Men playing Professor X, I thought, ooh, he'd be good. And he's brilliant in Split. And
he is. He's superb actor kind of all round. Michaela Cole obviously came up. Idris Elba.
Right.
And I think these lists just prove that Andy Pryor absolutely earns his money as casting director, because they're not going to spend 3 years in Cardiff. Also, thank you to Rob Shearman for suggesting 16-time Nobel Prize nominee E.M. Forster, who died the day after Inferno episode 5 premiered on BBC One.
Oh, damn.
Never mind. So showrunners.
So this is what I think is probably, at the moment with Doctor Who, is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because I think, obviously the casting is important, but the real bread and butter is, launching the program and taking it into its next step.
And we're also going off the assumption that the showrunner model, as we know it from Russell to now, is going to stay the same.
Yeah.
We could have a conversation all day about whether or not that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But we're going off the assumption it's worked for the last 13 seasons. Let's just keep it rolling, basically. So my first pick, the most obvious pick, I think it was the one that came up the most number of times on the fan submissions as well, was Mark Gatiss. He was my personal pick coming out of the Stephen Moffat era.
Yeah.
He has obviously got experience show running. My hesitancy towards Mark Gatiss doing it would be, I want another Chibnall insofar as we are ploughing forward. Mm-hmm. And I think that he is the ultimate kind of fans writer.
Yeah.
You're going to bring back Alpha Centauri for Empress of Mars. I mean, we might as well have them on the show full time. So, I mean, he is kind of the most obvious, high profile, realistic choice, I think, to take on the job.
Okay.
In terms of where his stock is now.
Yeah.
And in terms of, he could probably be talked round. I mean, it would probably take a lot of money. Because he probably doesn't want any part of that. He's probably quite happy just appearing on, collection set documentaries now, and that's cool. But I think he's probably the safest pair of hands that you could give the show to if you just want the show to just come out and, do its thing. And
So for my list...
I'm not saying he's number one, by the way. I'm just saying...
No. So for my list, I did my utmost to avoid Doctor Who fans.
Cool. I think that's the best thing.
Because I think...
I haven't been quite as imaginative as that.
We've had that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe now is the time that we have a Barry Letts or a Philip Hinchcliffe. People that know the programme and, will revere it and go, oh, okay, it means a lot to a lot of people. It is a massive institution. But aren't necessarily, like you said, let's bring Alpha Centauri back.
Right.
If I turned around to some of my people and said, oh, Alpha Centauri, they'd be like, ooh.
Sure.
Exactly. And I think maybe that's what we need. I think...
out of the box thinking.
And I've got one... My last pick came to me in the shower.
Wonderful. Most of mine came when I was having my ablutions, I've got to be honest.
Contrary to everything that I've just said, at the top of the list is Pete McTeague. Now, the reason why I've said Pete McTeague, I think he is the most likely shoo-in because he's working on the programme now. He is a new voice. Mark Gatiss, brilliant. But I think... as far as I'm concerned, that would be almost like getting Terrence Dicks to come back and do Doctor Who in 2005.
I agree. And he is my top realistic pick to do it.
He's also got a lot of experience doing completely unrelated things with Wentworth Prison. He did this most recent series on the BBC. I didn't watch, but Mum and Johnny did. And they said it was excellent and it did incredibly well ratings-wise and might have won some awards. And I think those sorts of things will be looked at and go, But he also is a Doctor Who fan. He knows the programme. Now, my concern with that is Kablam I thought was okay. Praxius? Was that Praxis? Whatever it was called?
Praxius, yeah.
I did not like at all.
Really?
No, I really... I when I rewatched it, I didn't even get to the end. I turned it off. I was just like, no, I'm not feeling this. That would be my concern. But I keep trying to tell myself, well, he's writing for another showrunner. We don't know what his version of Doctor Who would be like.
Exactly. And then you have to consider that with all of these picks.
Exactly.
Even ones that are kind of outside the box.
I mean, we all said that about Chris Chibnall, we haven't seen his Doctor Who. But, I mean, his Doctor Who, probably was about as good as some of the stuff that he wrote.
Had written before.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't elevated.
He hasn't written... he didn't write a Blink before coming on.
No.
And he still hasn't.
Yeah.
That could change.
Yeah.
And I sincerely hope it does.
Yeah.
As much as I like this run, and I'd say some of the stories are some of my favourites of the last
obviously
20 years.
Say what you will about Stephen Moffat, he had some bloody good pedigree coming off of, outside of Doctor Who as well, but then just for Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
Empty Child, brilliant. Blink, brilliant. It was, and then he obviously did do some incredibly good stories afterwards.
But maybe he should have just stuck to that.
Just doing that. Yeah, that's the thing.
Again, this is my fantasy. You've paid him all the money in the world to move to Cardiff to do this. Charlie Brooker.
He's on my list, so yeah.
I think that he has, and this is the reason I picked him is not because he done Black Mirror, he good at writing sort of thing. I picked him because when was the last time you were genuinely frightened by Doctor Who?
Well, yeah, that's it, isn't it?
I think he could produce some serious squeaky bum time moments.
I think he'd be really good.
And in that kind of, again, twisted Black Mirror, oh, my phone's going to kill me sort of thing.
Yes, yeah.
Which, I know that's... Black Mirror is such an omnipotent program. It's kind of... Black Mirror, this is a complete aside, sorry. Black Mirror and Rick and Morty, I think they exist in the same Ouroboros, snaking its own tail.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where even people that like it are like... oh, my phone's going to kill me in this episode. You know what I mean? It's like, everybody who watches Rick and Morty, I've watched the first 2 seasons and I was like, I'm mentally checked out of the show.
Right.
But everybody who watches it is like, oh, Rick's going to say something that's going to go on a t-shirt and oh, no, Rick. It's like, what it's going to be like. Charlie Brooker, I think, would make Doctor Who genuinely frightening again.
Yes.
And I think that, yes, you need good plots, you need strong characterization, you need a nice through line through the series or whatever. But Doctor Who has not frightened me. I know I'm, 25-year-old man, but I think you can still be...
I was just about to say, you're 30, but no, you're not.
No, I'm not. And keep telling yourself that.
I'm the old one here. Oh.
But I think, he could write some genuinely frightening television. I think he knows exactly what to do to frighten kids.
Yeah.
I think he knows exactly what to do to frighten parents.
Yeah.
I think he knows exactly what to do to frighten Doctor Who fans, except maybe, put a member of the opposite sex in front of them or whatever.
I think he's multi-leveled, like you're saying. I think he would be brilliant. And he was he approached to do one during Stephen Moffat's time?
A story, I think. And I think he just said, I'm too busy. I don't think he even entertained the idea or submitted an idea. I think it was just, I can't do it.
But I think he did say it would be something that he would like to do.
Do you think he would like to helm another show again, or do you think he's like, I'm going to do a movie now?
This is it, isn't it? It depends.
Where are they all in their careers?
That's it. That's the trouble, Is
Black Mirror in production?
I mean,
it's probably been renewed for 11 new seasons.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? But yeah, he would be excellent. He'd be excellent because he's on so many levels. The scariness, the zeitgeistiness, the comedy.
What makes Doctor Who great?
Yeah.
He'd do cliffhangers.
Yeah.
He'd structure it so that it felt like his Doctor Who, but he also knows how to write modern television that's captivating and gets people talking.
Yeah.
I think he is probably the best known showrunner that hasn't been involved in Doctor Who to take over the show.
Yeah, and like I said, sadly, probably will never happen.
Maybe give it 20 years.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe once he's, I'm just going to take it easy.
Yeah,
exactly. Maybe there's probably some kind of exclusivity thing with Netflix, and he's got his own production company.
Although he did do the stuff with the BBC, doesn't he? He still does Charlie Brooker's... He did COVID Wipe and all that stuff.
Yeah, but that... and because I adore all the wipes. Yeah. They're always a highlight of me for the year that they come out. And I go back and watch them religiously. They have significant... he might as well just not have done the COVID thing. Really, for as long as he hasn't done a show. Yeah. I think that rightly his priorities are with his baby. Yeah. Being the show. And his real life babies as well.
Yeah. It's just funny because when he did Doctor Who on Charlie Brooker on his screen wipe, he was like, and I hate kids. So that's why he'd be a good showrunner. Scare the buggers to death. That's what they used to say.
Absolutely.
My next one, again, unlikely. Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah.
I know people say, oh, she'd be a good Doctor Who. I don't see her as the Doctor.
I
see her... I could see her voice more. Now, part of it, Killing Eve was excellent, that first series that she helmed. I do worry that maybe it'd be a bit Moffat-y, because I think Killing Eve had a bit of a Moffat-iness. The way that the characters talk and that sort of... There's almost like a knowing
That's
twinkle.
why I didn't put Neil Cross on this list, because Luther suffered from the same thing.
Yeah. So I don't know if that
towards the end.
And I don't know if that would be a good thing or not. But I think, she's helmed, one of the most watched, most talked about programs in the last however many years, I think she'd be good because she's got the comedy element. She'd be a bit Dougie Adams, I think.
Yeah.
I think she'd have that sort of...
There's an observational thing there.
Yeah, she would...
A wink and a sort of to the audience.
Yeah, I think she would be able to look at it and go, like I said, venerate it, but maybe poke a little bit of fun at it at the same time.
I think then I think that, we need someone to be realistic about this show. It's nothing would disappoint me more than a worthy Doctor Who. A mightier than thou sort of, we're going to play this really straight. It's like, no, you need someone to come in and make it daft and put silly costumes on. Yeah. And all that kind of stuff. My final pick is my sort of wild card. And again, I think relatively realistic. Whether or not he'd want the job, I don't know. If he's watching, apologies if you start getting notifications. James Goss.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that he showed so much promise with Time Lord Victorious. Yeah. And I think he's written some fantastic stuff independently of that for Big Finish and in other kind of avenues as well. I just think he's got the capacity to do that. Yeah. Personally.
Yeah, I think that'd be very good.
Again, whether or not he's happy to do that or he's happier doing alternative media stuff, he doesn't want to get too involved in the show itself. Yeah. Or maybe he just wants to put his fingerprints all over it or whatever. Yeah. But I just think that he has shown to me a sort of... saying that he's the kind of creative head of the Time Lord Victorious thing, maybe that's all I'm going off of. Yeah. But it's the first time we've had somebody who's come forward who's written Doctor Who stuff before, not for television, but was also involved in a lot of foundational stuff for this sort of era, with BBC Online. I'm sure he did a lot of stuff with the BBC Doctor Who website, didn't he? Yeah. And writing stuff for that. So he's got pedigree for it, and I think he understands the show at a level that maybe other showrunners haven't. Where Russell did, but the show is multi-layered. The show is multifaceted in terms of approaches you can take, merchandising. God, when Russell was doing it, we had spin-off shows. Totally Doctor Who, obviously, and then the Doctor Who Confidential and all that kind of stuff. So I think that he could bring some of that spark and flair back into the show in that sort of capacity, I think.
I really should have put this one with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, really, because I think they're sort of the same sort of tipo. Emerald Fennell, who...
I saw that name come up.
Yeah, so she did the second series of Killing Eve. Yeah. And she also just did Promising Young Woman, which was excellent. Yes. And again, it's that same sort of flavour. I think, it would be humorous, but... there would also be like darker undertones.
There's an undercurrent of stuff to it.
I think both of them. I think that's probably why. I think they're actually good friends. Right. And I think that's why Phoebe Waller-Bridge suggested her to do Killing Eve 2. But my really random pick, and this is random, and I was in the shower and I thought, Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I mean he's done. He-Man.
He's just done He-Man. Now, obviously, he's American. We haven't had an American writer before. I know he likes Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. He is a Doctor Who fan. But he's not like a Doctor Who fan like some of the other names that we've had on this list.
Professional fans.
Yeah. I think seeing what he did with He-Man, which was a franchise that he knew about and, knew enough about, and then went, okay, well, why don't we take this and do this with it?
But with He-Man, just to clarify, he wasn't like your level of like, I'm a He-Man
No, not at all.
Did he watch it as a kid and it was part of his childhood? And
no, I mean, I think he sort of said that more later in the promotion for the programme, but in other interviews that he did many years ago, he was like, oh, fucking He-Man was, stupid and had, one good villain in it, Skeletor.
Stephen
and they
Moffat
him.
Said that about Doctor Who.
And I
what do you say? You put a magazine, Doctor Who magazine, in between porn magazine pages.
So I think he'd be good. Seeing what he's done with He-Man, and he's clearly looked at the whole franchise as a whole and gone, oh, this is really cool. This is really cool. This is really cool. But how about we do this with it?
Right.
And he's taken stuff from the lore and put it in very different directions. And as a fan, I've gone, that's really good.
Yeah.
And I think he'd be quite good at that. I think he'd be like, oh, well, these things are cool. Why hasn't anyone done this sort of a story?
Sure.
Now, I know some people are probably going to hear that and be like, well, he's American. Our people might say he's a massive stoner and he's probably going to be half-baked when he writes it. But hey, if it works for him... If it was, and I think I said this to Jonathan. I said, we had the San Diego Comic-Con thing with Jodie, and I felt that was very poorly handled, that whole panel. And I said to him, I was like, I'm more excited about when the next 5 episodes of He-Man are coming out than I am about Doctor Who, which is crazy.
That's yeah.
And I think it was that made me think, well, if he can do that for He-Man. And venerate it, but take it somewhere it's never been before. Why not Doctor Who?
Fabulous. I think that's a great pick. I think he's somebody who is outside of the box.
Yeah,
and somebody who would understand the culture behind it.
Very much so.
And I think that is something that's quite important in terms of picking the next showrunner. And as you've said, it's kind of top of your list in terms of things that you want to see. I don't want to see a card-carrying Doctor Who fan as the showrunner anymore. I want to see somebody come in and, like you say, go, what's that promo photo from 1970s? That's a cool looking monster. What's their deal? Can we do a story with them? Or whatever. Because the Doctor's universe is so much more than the last 60 years.
Yeah.
It has the capacity to be. Big Finish has done that by bringing in new writers and so on. And I think, absolutely the right thing to do is go for somebody who's not sort of part of that ethos. Or what was the thing that Philip Morris liked to say? The Fitzroy Tavern lot.
The Fitzroy Tavern.
Let's get away from that. Listener suggestions for showrunner. First one, Toby Whithouse.
Right.
I would have put Toby Whithouse on the top of mine, but I didn't. He was the showrunner for Noughts and Crosses, which I think has just been renewed for a second series, which was superb.
Yeah, I didn't finish watching that.
I really loved it. And the thing,
I enjoyed it as well, yeah.
The reason, and obviously he's done Being Human and stuff, the reason that I liked it and thought he would be a good pick is just because there was such a rigidity to the product and to the production. There's lots of shows where I can see the seams behind it, but it just had a look. Yeah. It felt real, and it was a real life breathing sort of like environment. And I don't know how much of that is down to him. Obviously, they had an incredible production design department on it. And I think, again, probably a very safe pair of hands, and has written, School Reunion, Vampires of Venice, God Complex, Town Called Mercy, Under the Lake, Before the Flood, and The Lie of the Land. Interesting, he's only written 1 2-parter. That's the only kind of time we've seen that. And I think it's good to know we can have a showrunner that can write 2-part stories or multiple part stories. Mark Gatiss, of course, came up. Charlie Brooker, Neil Gaiman.
Again,
not going to happen. No. Give it another 20 years, maybe. J. Michael Straczynski, guy who did Babylon 5.
Oh yeah, his name came up.
Because he said that he wants to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've never ever seen that program,
but to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, viewers, Babylon 5 is the show that Doctor Who fans look at and go, "You're a nerd."
Oh really?
I feel that because it seems quite worthy to me, worthy sci-fi. Right. I haven't seen it, but from the outset, it's just like you've got a guy with Next Generation alien makeup on, that kind of rich look. I haven't seen Next Generation, so but it's got that look to it.
Okay.
But like you're not kind of doing that kind of wink nudge. Yeah. This is a bit silly sort of thing. Yeah. It just seems very kind of po-faced sci-fi.
I think that's what Peter Capaldi said, didn't he, in that interview the other day? He said something about, it's nice doing this Suicide Squad film because it's like got all the money in the world behind it. Whereas with Doctor Who, a Cyberman will be walking along and bits will fall off of him, but that's part of the charm of the program, and you that's why we love it.
I always think of that David Maloney quote, though, from Doctor Who Night, of that, I don't want it to come back as a multi-million pound thing, cheap and cheerful like it used to be. I think that's a lovely sentiment. And I think that it can force people to be very creative in those moments as well. Rhys Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton.
Oh my God, yeah, they'd be great.
I don't think they'd want to do it.
No.
But great picks.
Yeah.
Nick Briggs.
Nick Briggs, yeah.
Safest pair of hands humanly possible.
Yeah.
Jamie Matheson. Mummy on the Orient Express, Flatline, the girl who died in Oxygen.
Yeah.
Oxygen, massively underrated story in my opinion. I think that is a bloody great episode of Doctor Who. And obviously Flatline.
Oh yeah, I love Flatline.
Brilliant. I know you like Mummy on the Orient Express.
I like Mummy on the Orient Express. I know you were a bit
not
so
on
keen.
it personally. Maxine Alderson.
Yes. Yeah.
Vinay Patel.
Yeah.
Pete McTeague. Pete McTeague was the name that came up the most.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really interesting. And something else to mention about Pete McTeague is obviously he's written
all the collection
teasers, right?
Yeah.
I think the Tegan one,
yes,
because that was the first one, wasn't it? I don't think the one for season 12.
No.
But interesting that those last three names, and they were the names that came up the most on the submissions, all from the Chibnall era.
Yeah.
And I think, as we kind of wrap it up, I think, obviously the main portion of this has been talking about them leaving the programme, Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
If there's anything to take away from Chris Chibnall's time on the programme that has been a massive positive, it's that we've got 3 people that have come into this space and you think, do you know what? They could do that.
Yeah.
And they've had 2 seasons worth of content and they've impressed people so much because they have felt like a breath of fresh air that people have come into it and gone, yeah, let's do it. Let's give them the job.
Yeah, and like for me, like especially Maxine Alderson, like if she can write stories as good as that Haunting of Villa Diodati or whatever it's called, bloody hell, yeah, great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, literally, we've been talking for so long, the cleaners have turned up.
Yeah.
Which you can hear in the background.
It's 8:30.
8:30.
Oh, okay, so I actually thought it was 9 o'clock, and I thought, my God, this is like a 3-hour podcast.
Well, do you feel better about that now?
I do, yeah. I was sort of... sigh of relief. I was like, we're going to get told off. This
No, it's all good. So yeah, this has been this. I really hope you enjoy. I've had a.
This has been really good. I've missed talking about Doctor Who. I feel more pumped about Doctor Who now that we've done this
than the Comic Con panel.
I really do. Yeah.
Well, this is something that we're really, really hoping to kind of carry on.
Yeah.
And the idea is to continue with the Review of Death in this format.
Yes.
When you'll see us next, not sure. Ideally, we'd like to see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And keep up to date with the Review of Death social media, Twitter and Instagram to see what goes on there. As we said, it's going to be fortnightly. Is the idea going forward. When Series 13 comes out, you'll get our instant reaction. Hopefully, the idea is you'll get it the Monday morning.
Yes.
So that if you are commuting in, you can hear what our opinions and thoughts are on it from there. And I suppose the only other thing left to say is what we're going to be doing in the next episode.
So we are going to be doing the Twin Dilemma.
As voted for.
I'm
going to get the results.
Okay. So basically the idea was, when we were talking about this, was when we first started the Review of Death, we started off looking at stories that people, we liked, but didn't necessarily have like a high regard in fandom.
Death of the Daleks was our first one. That's a perfect example.
And then I think we were sort of talking about it. And it was like, well, why don't we go backwards through that DWM 500 stories poll, which I know is out of date now because obviously we've had all of Peter Capaldi and now Jodie Whittaker, but it's just a good sort of starting point. And I think we've talked enough about Capaldi and Jodie as it's happening.
We've covered their entire run.
Yeah, so I don't think we need to talk about them anytime soon, and obviously we've still got new Jodie stories to talk about as they come out. So yeah, we're going to go backwards and we're going to reassess the stories that people don't necessarily like that much.
Exactly. Or episodes. The idea now is, I guess, to find the positives in stories. So what we've done is we've gone to the bottom of that 2014 DWM poll.
Yep.
2014 is when we started this.
Yes,
How
I
nuts
know.
is that?
Yeah, mad. 7 years ago.
7 years ago. High five, bud.
Ugh.
Nicely done.
Don't high five me too hard. I got to pee badly.
I'm not going to say COVID, but I'm in exactly the same boat. So we asked you guys on Twitter to pick between Time of the Rani, Fear Her, and the Twin Dilemma.
Yep.
The idea behind it would be the episode that gets the least number of votes is the episode that we will review, and that is the format kind of going forward.
Yep.
So the one that gets the least amount of love, we're going to be showing some love on the Review of Death. So the Twin Dilemma is the first episode that we're going to be doing.
And I think that's a very apt one, because obviously we are now preparing to say goodbye to a doctor and say hello to a new doctor. I know it's a couple of years off yet, really, but it's in the atmosphere, so it'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely. And also, I know that I think it's changed now, but the whole Sylve thing being like, well, that's the kind of most divisive, and all Doctor Who fans didn't like that one, did they?
Yeah.
I think Colin's first series, now looking back at season 24 with the Blu-ray release, is probably the messiest first season for any Doctor.
Yeah.
And there's some highlights in there. One of my favourite episodes of all time is in that season in Vengeance on Varos.
Yeah.
And then the Twin Dilemma's in there as well.
Oh, well, that's technically the end of the last season.
No, I know, but I'm trying to think of that whole...
I mean, you got Time Lash in there.
Exactly. And Mark of the Rani, which I've mentioned it like twice now, so inevitably that's going to be...
People are going to be like, nobody vote for Time of the Rani, so they talk about Time of the Rani.
Exactly.
Mark of the Rani, sorry.
So yeah, that's that. That's going to be the next episode, and then we'll have the poll for this is kind of the pilot, so that'll be episode 1. Episode 2 we'll do a new episode, and then of course, once we get sick to the back teeth of reviewing not very good episodes of Doctor Who, or ones that have been considered to be not very good, we'll do some side steps as well. So we'll go off and we'll do some spin-off stuff, or we'll take some more submissions from you guys, and if you guys want us to do a cliffhangers video, if you guys want us to do another top 10 list or a tier video or something like that, the world is our oyster. We can literally do anything. We could move this table out of the way and you could see us play the Edge of Time VR game for...
Oh my God.
I mean, that would not work in a podcasting format. No. So Spotify listeners, you'll want to get onto the video version of it. Yeah, it's a really exciting time. So we're really excited and happy to be doing this, and long may it continue, and we hope you all enjoy it as well. So let us know what you thought.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.